Hello, this is the user guide video for Effective Permissions version 1. So we will go over all the options and the buttons over here, and then we'll run a couple of test audits. So we have two main pages here. Check permissions is where you check the permissions, and the options page. Now on the options page at the moment there's just a couple of options. First is the precedence table. Now, this table controls which permission is shown as the effective permission in case when multiple permissions are held by the user for a particular object. And normally that will be the case. So normally there will be multiple permissions competing to be the effective permission. And by default, this is set as expected. But if you are using custom permissions and you have certain permissions which should appear higher, should take precedence over other permissions, you can put them here in higher in the table. So you would enter a lower value in this table, and that will give them precedence over other permission rows that you're using. The other option we have here is request delay. Now this is a number that's set in milliseconds and can be useful in a couple of scenarios. So if your SharePoint server seems to be dropping some of the requests because it's just receiving them at a very fast rate, then if you set a delay here, this will make the app send those requests at a slower rate, so it will give the SharePoint server more time to respond. And also, if you seem to be getting some unresponsiveness on the browser, on the client side, when the app is running, again, you could try setting some delay here. This should basically slow down the app a bit, so everything has more time to process. That's all for the options. So let's go back to our main page, check permissions one, and see what options we have over here. On the check permissions page, we have two sections. The first section is where we configure our query, and then we have the results section where our results will be shown after we've run the query. So let's go ahead and configure a query. Enter your user here. You can enter as groups as well, but we'll talk about that later. So we enter our user, only enter one user, and then there's a button here that says set users AD groups. Now, if the user is a member of Active Directory groups, which groups are known to be used for permissions within SharePoint, you need to input those groups here manually, one by one, one group per line, and this will basically configure the query to include permissions from those groups. Now, this has to be done manually in this version. Perhaps may be possible to acquire those groups automatically in the future. So we click close. Site collection is where you input the site collection that you're auditing. Now, if you want to audit a site collection other than the one where the app is installed, then you need to install this app into administrator approved mode. So you can email us if you need help with that, and then you'll be able to set any site collection here, and then just click set, and then the app will run against that site collection. But if you installed the app from the online store, then most likely you can only show permissions from the site collection where the app is added to. So if you have multiple site collections, you may need to add one instance of this app to each of those site collections where you're going to be auditing. Next, we can select here to include the permissions of lists and libraries. And there's also show tree depth from. Now we'll talk about this option in a sec. So let's go ahead and run this query. So we just click show permissions, and then the data is fetched, and then we have our results table. So we can click over here the URL column, and that will expand our tree. Now in this case, we've included the list, so they're showing it's showing the lists underneath each site. So in this case, I need to go down over here to find my subsites. So these are my subsites, and each of them has lists as well. So each of these sites, they have a number here, and that number indicates the depth at which this site is located relative to the first site, to the root site. So this one is at depth level 2. If we drill down further down, these guys are at level 3. This guy here again level 3. But if you have a very deep structure, you will have perhaps sites going down multiple levels, and that's the purpose here of this option over here. Now, in very large environments, prefetching all that deep structure can be quite resource intensive. So you can actually limit here which depth levels are shown, are returned by the query. So I could show only from level 0 to level 10. So that will show anything no deeper than level 10. And then if I have like 50 levels, I can show me from level 10 until level 40. Show permissions. Now, in this case, I have nothing at level 10, so it's only showing me the root site collection over here, but nothing else. You have the clear form button over here, and clear form plus clear ID groups in case you entered the ID groups over here. So that cleared the form and ready it for a new query. So I'll just in this case I'll run a query for a SharePoint group. So these are my SharePoint groups. I'll just pick one. Now for SharePoint groups, I need to select this checkbox over here is a SharePoint group. So we have, let's leave all the default. So we run our query, and these are our results. These are the permissions that this SharePoint group has over various items in our structure. Close. Within the results table itself, you can expand all levels, and you can collapse all. Now you can also filter. So if you know a site that you want to check out, so you could just enter its name. There's one I know, Fort. So this will basically filter the table based on everything that has Fort in it. So that's a way to look for what you're looking for. These are the features and capabilities in version 1. If you have any feedback or any questions, go ahead and email us. Thank you. Bye.